Hello, dear children. Namaste, and welcome to session 1 of your next chapter in plant physiology, transpiration. And this is Ambika, your biology master teacher, right here at Vedantu. Now, children, remember for all kinds of your study related tips, tricks, and to learn all your concepts completely right from scratch, for revision material and for all such stuff, do remember to stay subscribed to this channel. Click on the subscribe button right now if you haven't done it yet, because we just have a couple of chapters remaining. Now this, when I say couple of chapters remaining, that is specifically for my ICSE children. For CBSE 9 and CBSE 10, we have already completed the syllabus and we have already got started with BioBite series, and we will be starting with more series as well, like one shot previous year's questions and so many other things coming up for you. So do not miss out on any of the updates. So the best way is to stay subscribed, and also please remember to follow me on my official Instagram page, Ambika_Vedantu, and there you will find a lot of quick 1 minute videos and quick motivational posts that we keep putting up on a regular basis, which will be a welcome break for you from your really busy schedule. All right, guys, so moving on with transpiration, as always, starting with a positive quote. Remember to study while others are sleeping, work while others are loafing, prepare while others are playing, and you will enjoy while others are regretting. Okay, so do keep this in mind. Definitely it works. Now today let us learn about what transpiration is, the different types of transpiration, mechanism of the most common type of transpiration, which is stomatal transpiration, and stomatal regulation of transpiration. Okay. So yes, transpiration, of course, is something that you all know about what sort of a process it is. All of you are familiar with, I'm sure, because even in the chapter absorption by roots, we have discussed transpirational pull as one of the major forces that helps in pulling up water from the roots to the upper parts of a plant body, right? So the same kind of GIF, something very similar to this, some animation very similar to this, we have discussed and we have seen in the previous chapter as well. But then just formally defining it, transpiration is a process by which water is lost in the form of vapor from leaves and other aerial parts of plants. Okay, this is what it is. Now coming to the types of transpiration. Of course, stomatal transpiration is the most common form of transpiration because most of the transpiration in a plant occurs through the stomata. What are stomata? You all know this. Stomata are tiny openings which are guarded by a pair of bean-shaped cells called guard cells in the outermost layer, which we call the epidermal layer of the cells in a plant body, right? So transpiration occurs in aerial parts of plant from the leaves through the stomata. You find them in the epidermal layers of a leaf. Okay, so this is what stomatal transpiration is. So now coming to the next type, which is cuticular transpiration. Now, if you think about it, leaves and certain other parts of a plant body have a waxy coating, especially on the leaves. You might find a waxy coating which is there to prevent excess water loss, and it gives a sort of shiny appearance to many leaves, right? That is called the leaf cuticle. So transpiration can also happen directly from the surface of leaves and stems, which is from the cuticle, and hence we call that cuticular transpiration. Okay, so cuticle is in fact a layer, which, as you can see in the zoomed in diagram, this is the epidermis. Okay, epidermis, and the cuticle would be lying just outer to the epidermis, the cuticle. It may be thin in certain plants, it may be very thick in certain plants. You will understand more about that as we go deeper into the chapter. But the only thing you need to keep in mind for now is thicker the cuticle, lower would be the rate of transpiration. Okay, at least cuticular transpiration would be very minimal if it's very thick. But thinner the cuticle, greater would be the rate of transpiration. Okay, right. So now coming to the third type of transpiration, which is a method by which water is lost in the vapor form from tiny openings called lenticels, which are found on the surface of old woody stems or bark, as we can say, lenticels. So since it occurs through the lenticels, we call it lenticular transpiration. So once again, the three major types. That which occurs through the stomata is called stomatal transpiration. That which occurs through the cuticle is called cuticular transpiration. And that which occurs through the lenticels is called lenticular transpiration. These are the three major types. Now, as I told you, the most important type or the most common type is stomatal transpiration. Let us try and understand the mechanism of stomatal transpiration. So to understand that, it's important to have a sense of the arrangement of cells within a leaf. Okay, so take out a cross section of a leaf, and this is typically what you would find. You would find the cuticle, you would find the epidermis, in which you have the guard cells and stomata, which are the openings. You would find a lot of loosely arranged cells, which forms the spongy mesophil, in between which there are plenty of intercellular spaces. Okay, and then you would also find the conducting tissues which are there, which is marked as the vein here. And there is another layer of mesophil, which is called palisade mesophil, which is composed of compactly arranged cells. Okay, so cuticle, epidermis, and in the epidermis you would find the guard cells and stomata, and within it you would find several layers of mesophil, including spongy mesophil and palisade mesophil. Okay, so let us now understand this. Okay, now this is something that you have learned in the previous chapter also, in that the water, most of the water travels along cell walls by different forces, especially by a force called imbibition. Remember, think of the first thing that I told you when we started the chapter, absorption by roots. How does water initially enter into the roots? One of the forces with the help of which water gets into the roots is by imbibition. Water comes in contact with the root hair cell walls and gets imbibed. And then, of course, we have osmosis, all kinds of diffusion, active transport, all of that also playing a role, and the rest of it. And if you remember, the column of water, which is maintained with the help of the adhesion, cohesion, and all that capillary force and all of that, that is what you see summarized here. Yes, so once again, have a look at it. Most water travels along cell walls by imbibition. Between adjacent cell walls, it just moves along through by imbibition. And some, up to a certain extent, evaporation can also occur from the cell wall. Through the xylem vessel, it's all moving along. Okay, and a small proportion of water does enter into the cells by osmosis, because when it crosses the semi-permeable cell membrane, it is carrying out what we call, with the help of what we call osmosis, it is entering into the cells. Diffusion also can occur to the outside. All of this occurs, and eventually what we see is transpiration happens from the uppermost parts of the leaf, or the aerial parts of the leaf. So once again, let us come back to that. Just close your eyes for a few seconds and imagine it, the same thing which we have discussed, transpirational pull. Transpiration acts as the pulling force in terms of making the aerial parts of a plant lose water through the stomata, especially through the stomata. Okay, now open your eyes and have a look at this. Now let us go in the reverse direction, this way. This is where we have started transpiration. Once that gap has been created by the loss of a few water molecules, immediately there would be a natural tendency for the water column to be maintained by pulling water molecules from the immediately lower level, okay, which would be from the adjacent cells. So by osmosis, by all kinds of other attractive forces, which would include adhesion, cohesion, all those capillary action and all of that, a continuous column of water is maintained. And from the bottom, of course, we've seen root pressure also plays a role. So that's different. Let's not talk about root pressure right now. The only thing I want you to think about is stomatal transpiration, loss of water through the stomata. Okay, so now what is it that regulates stomatal transpiration. Okay, so as I have told you, in these layers, the cross section of a leaf, these are the layers that you would find. Okay, so this is the upper epidermis. Okay, upper epidermis. This is the lower epidermis. Okay, so in the epidermis you would find these bean-shaped cells which are called guard cells, but those guard cells are actually zoomed in and shown to you in this image here. Okay, guard cells which are guarding the opening called stomatal pore. Now inside the guard cells, just as most other plant cells, most other photosynthesizing cells in a plant body have, there is an organelle which is called chloroplast. So obviously there would be chlorophyll also in it. You're well aware of all of that. Of course, in the chapter photosynthesis also, we will be discussing details of this. So the main thing we need to understand here is the opening and closing of stomata is actually a direct result of increase and decrease of the water content inside the guard cells. For example, what happens is during the daytime, naturally, these guard cells have a tendency to pull in certain solutes from adjacent cells, from cells which are lying just around them. They tend to pull in solutes. As a result, what happens? The osmotic potential or the osmotic concentration of guard cells increases, or rather the solute concentration inside the guard cells increases. So when solute concentration increases, what happens? Think about how roots absorb water. Yes, all the time there is an active uptake of minerals, so that solute concentration inside the root hair cells is higher than the surrounding environment. Why so? That is maintained this way so that water can always be continuously taken up through osmosis. Likewise, in this case also, during the daytime, there is an active uptake of solutes, a lot of minerals like potassium ions and all of them by the guard cells from the neighboring cells. When this happens, the solute concentration or the osmotic concentration within the guard cells increases. In order to balance out that, there is a subsequent uptake of water as well by osmosis. Yes, this is what it is. So when a lot of water enters into the guard cells, obviously what happens? When a plant cell takes up a lot of water, it becomes swollen up, it becomes what we call turgid. Okay, so turgid plant cells, turgid guard cells have a unique feature in the sense that when they become really, really full and happy and turgid, their inner walls, which are these walls, they happily pull apart away from each other. And when that happens, that is when the stomatal pore opens. Okay? Now the contrary, exactly the opposite happens when stomata close, in the sense the solute concentration lowers, or the osmotic potential in the guard cells would be reduced. As a result, water would be lost, the guard cells become flaccid, and hence the inner walls come back and close, which means stomatal pore would be closed. This is what is written here. When the guard cells are turgid, stomata open. When the guard cells become flaccid, the stomata would close. Okay, so yes, we can conclude that turgidity of the guard cells is the main cause of closing and opening of the stomatal pores. Very, very, very important point for you to know. Yes, this is it. The same thing. I think it's shown in a beautiful animation here, the actual view of the stomata opening and closing. This is what it looks like. Okay, the open stomata, uptake of potassium ions and water, becomes turgid, opens out. Closed stomata is by loss of potassium ions and subsequently loss of water as well. Right? So this is how stomatal transpiration happens in plants. Okay, so before we move on to the quiz time, children, let me remind you something that will really, really help you out at this point of time when we are coming towards the end of the academic year. You have the golden opportunity to learn through Vedantu Pro subscription, and you can once subscribed, you can have unlimited live classes with a lot of fun and high level quizzes. You get to compete with students across the country, across the world also. So your confidence levels are also boosted and you know where to improve also. And of course, because we have like 5,000 plus micro courses available, it's not possible for you to have a look at every single video every single day. So naturally, if at all you're not able to attend a particular session when it's happening live, you have the option of watching the replay of it. But the good thing is that it won't be like watching any other like random recorded video. The good news is that even if it may be a replay, actually the quizzes and leaderboards would still be live, which means you can still participate in the quizzes just like you would in a live session. And that would obviously mean you have chances of coming on the leaderboard as well. That is what most of our children would love to have. And of course, you get premium downloadable content with handwritten notes of your master teachers after every single session. Unlimited doubt solving, children, because we here believe that be it a small doubt or a big doubt, that doesn't really matter. All that matters is that you should have the confidence and courage to ask out your doubts, okay? Because without conceptual clarity, you may not even understand that particular subject for the rest of your life, right? So in class doubt solving with class teachers and master teachers, with quality tests and assignments, session assignments, chapter assignments, chapter tests, everything, so that your confidence is greatly boosted. Yes, children, and as I told you, you have 5,000 plus micro courses to choose from and free crash courses available for all your major exams. So this doesn't come separately. In fact, the micro courses and crash courses come as part of pro subscription itself. So once subscribed, it means that you have unlimited access to all of these. Okay, so coming to the pricing of it, less is always believed to be more at Vedantu in this context, which means more classes, lesser price. How does it work? I will tell you, but remember to click after this session. Remember to click the link in the description box below and the pinned comment. Check out the coupon code AMBPRO so that you can avail it at the best possible prices as well. Okay, children. Now let me tell you with the calculation, with all the math, how is it going to be reasonably priced for you? So a 1 month Vedantu Pro subscription would normally cost you 2,699. Okay, but if you apply the coupon code AMBPRO, you can avail it at 2,159. Now remember, children, when I say 2,159, many children might end up thinking that it's going to be a per session cost or a per subject cost. But no, children, I have good news for you here. This is the cost that you pay for approximately 200 sessions, which means for 4 subjects together, you are paying just this much for an entire month. English, SST, Science and Maths, all together, unlimited live classes, 2,159. That's it. Yes, I hope you now get what I meant when I said being reasonably priced. Now, if you want to subscribe for 3 months, again, those details are also here. Applying the coupon code AMBPRO would ensure that you get the 3-month subscription at 5,599. And for those of you who want the 6-month subscription, go ahead and opt for that. With the coupon code, you can avail it at 9,199. Okay, so even now, if you are confused, just go down to calculate the per session cost, per class cost. So I'm not giving it to you as homework. I have done the math for you here. The per class price for a 1-month subscription, as I told you, 200 sessions in a month would mean 2,159, which is the total cost divided by 200, giving you the per class price rupees 11 only. Yes, that's reasonably priced. And the 3 months subscription would reduce it even further because you would have 600 classes in 3 months roughly. So divide it accordingly and you would get it at rupees 9. And the 6 months, the 3 months at rupees 9 and 6 months at rupees 8 per session. I'm sure you now understand what I mean when I say that Vedantu believes in making education affordable and accessible to all. Yes, children, I don't think anything can be better than this. Definitely, it is something that you must try out for yourself and then decide. Because I just wanted you to make an informed decision, which is why I gave you so many details. Now it's entirely up to you. All right, guys. So do keep in mind that this is something that is even going to be more reasonably priced than even the small bars of chocolate that you can buy in the market, and even your favorite party packs of Lay's chips and many other potato chips, even more reasonably priced than that. So yes, knowledge in such reasonable cost is something rare that you would find these days, but we just have that. Okay, children, so here is the quick check for you. Let us see if you have understood and are able to recall everything that we have discussed today about transpiration. Transpiration is best defined as dash the loss of water from plant, loss of water as vapor from the plants, evaporation of water from the surface of leaves, or none of these. What do you think? The best definition, okay? I know it can all be confusing, but I want you to choose the most appropriate option. So your time is up. The answer is evaporation of water from the surface of leaves. This is what transpiration can best be defined as. Now, transpiration mostly occurs through dash root hair, cell wall, lenticels, or stomata. Most of the transpiration occurs through, and your time is up in 3, 2, 1, and go. The answer is stomata, of course, stomatal transpiration. Now, if you remember cuticular transpiration, I have told you, the greater the thickness of the cuticle, the dash is the evaporation. Greater, lesser, equal, or none of these. Greater the thickness of the cuticle, thicker the cuticle, dash would be the evaporation. What do you think? And your time is up. The answer is lesser the evaporation. Okay, so that is actually even something that works as an adaptation in plants that grow in dry areas, like in desert areas. As an adaptation, many of those plants have a very thick cuticle so that they can minimize water loss through transpiration. And the last question for you, the dash are tiny openings that protrude from the barks in woody stems and twigs, as well as in other plant organs. Cuticles, stomata, lenticels, or none of these. Tiny openings that protrude from the barks. And your time is up. The answer is, of course, lenticels, older stems or woody stems, or the bark as we call it. Transpiration does occur through those regions as well. So remember 3 kinds of transpiration, stomatal, cuticular, and lenticular. So very, very well done, children. Let me remind you that you now know about what transpiration is, the types of transpiration, mechanism of stomatal transpiration, and stomatal regulation of transpiration. And that is about it. The homework question for you: why does the lower surface of dicot leaf have larger number of stomata than the upper surface? Well, if you weren't aware of that fact, it is a fact. The lower surfaces normally have more stomata than the upper surfaces. Why is it so? I want you all to do your bit of research and come up with an answer for that. And in the meantime, remember to also visit the link in the description box below and the pinned comment. Coupon code is AMBPRO. Righto, children, I will see you in the next session. But before that, do remember to click the like button if you have found this useful. Share it with all your class 10 ICSE friends so that they can also benefit from it, and stay subscribed. Click on the subscribe button right now so that you don't miss out on any of our valuable posts. Okay, and let me remind you, Instagram, my official Instagram page, which is Ambika_Vedantu, where you can find a lot of amazing posts coming up on a regular basis. Okay, and until we meet again, stay home, stay happy, and stay healthy. Keep working hard. Right? Bye bye.